The Executive Board recommended that wrestling, governed by the International Federation of Associated Wrestling Styles, FILA, not be included on the list of core sports.
Well, get this, wrestling gets body slammed from the Olympics.
The International Olympic Committee dealt a body blow to Indian sport today by throwing wrestling out from the 2020 Games.
But I would urge you to think about this decision as a decision to look at the core sports. What is the programme that works best for the Olympic Games? And in the view of the Executive Board and the members of the Executive Board, this was the best programme for the Olympic Games in 2020.
It's been disappointing from my side. I mean, I lived my life based around the Olympic movement and either trying to develop myself into an Olympic champion or being a coach and trying to develop athletes into Olympic champions. And I think it's just so much disappointment that future athletes potentially won't have the opportunity to compete in the Olympics.
It was a complete shock. Just thinking of the future wrestlers, the ones that I've been coaching, as well as even just the really young ones. And so I've had a hard time in some ways, but at the same time, I'm like an optimist. So really think that we're continuing to do a good job at promoting our sport. And it's just incredible since this Save Wrestling campaign has been worldwide. Our wrestling community and across the world has really come together. Like a big part of it is through Facebook and social media. If you were to read the mat.com, which is the USA website, and all the Hollywood actors that are involved in this fight, because it's so crucial, we've been able to realize our potential, I think, and get people who kind of supported our sport quietly that are now coming out and expressing their support for wrestling.
The reason why we're here today is to send a clear message right across the world to leave wrestling in the Olympics. That's where it belongs. From coast to coast to coast, from country to country to country. It builds individuals, strong individuals, that when they grow up, they can become counselors of a city like Niagara Falls. We have to send a message and take a look at this crowd. Take a look at this venue. Wrestling is not dead. It's Olympic sport. It should stay an Olympic sport.
Well, I think the Battle of the Falls thing kind of represented our fight. Unfortunately, up to that point, I think we kind of took a back seat and followed the Americans' lead, and the Russians and the Iranians and Indians and some of the Japan, some of the more, wrestling powerful nations, which we are among, but we typically don't have our voices heard as much. And that's why we took on the Battle of the Falls, was we wanted to make an impression on this fight and take the initiative.
The Battle of the Falls was an awesome event because the competitors, the coaches, the people involved, the volunteers, all the people that made a difference that day, they were able just to enjoy it because it was supposed to be a fun event and a promotion and just like basically celebrating wrestling. I think within Canada, sometimes we just don't have that philosophy of sport and that, that culture, unless it's hockey and, typically, right, or watching professional sports. So it's important, I think, that we always buy in, and that's what something I say to people when I'm doing events or something for the Olympics. It's like, just don't be excited now or during the Olympic Games for us. Be excited all the time. Be excited for all the multi-sports that we have offered in Canada and how good we can be or that we already are.
Wrestling, I think, again, took their position for granted, and that was a huge mistake. But I think, based on value, I think wrestling has a great chance to get back in the Olympics. We have to prove ourselves, and we have to adapt to some of the IOC's wishes. But I'm hoping that you give a slap on the wrist. The other thing is that it's a very political organization, extremely political. I read an article 3 months back about how empowered these IOC members are because they make these decisions.
The dream is, yes, the Olympic Games are the final kind of the highest goal you can reach in a lot of ways. But I also explained to them that everything that you learn about yourself and in the sport is a goal reached and a dream met. All those little steps, all those, understanding the sport and getting better and learning about yourself and the discipline, the hard work, all that stuff matters. So I just encourage them just to realize that there's, we can still push forward, we can still love wrestling, and we can still do our very best at the end of the day. And some things are out of our control, and whatever that, if the decision was to say no, I know that after 2020, we'll try to get in for 2024.